Good morning, Trinity Baptist Church. It is a beautiful day here in New Jersey. We have about 40 square feet here to enjoy it, but we will definitely be coming out and blowing bubbles during or after quiet rest time. I am sure for many of you, yesterday was a big day of adjusting to this stay-at-home directive, and it has been for us as well. That came down, I think, last Friday here in New Jersey. And in the midst of all that, I've been praying for you, and as long as I am your pastor, I certainly will continue to. Today we are in Mark chapter 2, and as you listen, I think it'd be good to listen for something Jesus says. There's a line he says that he said 2 times in chapter 1, that he says again here in chapter 2, that is really central to the Gospel of Mark. See if you can catch it as we read. This is Mark 2. And when he returned to Capernaum after some days, it was reported that he was at home. And many were gathered together, so that there was no more room, not even at the door. And he was preaching the word to them. And they came, bringing to him a paralytic, carried by 4 men. And when they could not get near him because of the crowd, they removed the roof above him. And when they had made an opening, they let down the bed on which the paralytic lay. And when Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralytic, "Son, your sins are forgiven." Now, some of the scribes were sitting there, questioning in their hearts, "Why does this man speak like that? He's blaspheming. Who can forgive sins but God alone?" And immediately Jesus, perceiving in his spirit that they thus questioned within themselves, said to them, "Why do your hearts question these things? Which is easier to say to the paralytic, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Rise, take up your bed and walk'? But that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins," he said to the paralytic, "I say to you, rise, pick up your bed, and go home." And he rose, and immediately picked up his bed, and went out before them all, so that they were all amazed, and glorified God, saying, "We never saw anything like this." He went out again beside the sea, and all the crowds were coming to him, and he was teaching them. And as he passed by, he saw Levi, the son of Alphaeus, sitting at the tax booth, and he said to him, "Follow me." And he rose and followed him. And as he reclined at table in his house, many tax collectors and sinners were reclining with Jesus and his disciples, for there were many who followed him. And the scribes of the Pharisees, when they saw that he was eating with sinners and tax collectors, said to his disciples, "Why does he eat with tax collectors and sinners?" And when Jesus heard it, he said to them, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. I came not to call the righteous, but sinners." Now, John's disciples and the Pharisees were fasting. And people came and said to him, "Why do John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast?" And Jesus said to them, "Can the wedding guests fast while the bridegroom is with them? As long as they have the bridegroom with them, they cannot fast. The days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and then they will fast on that day. No one sews a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old garment. If he does, the patch tears away from it, the new from the old, and a worse tear is made. And no one puts new wine into old wineskins. If he does, the wine will burst the skins, and the wine is destroyed, and so are the skins. But new wine is for fresh wineskins." One Sabbath, he was going through the grain fields, and as they made their way, his disciples began to pluck heads of grain. And the Pharisees were saying to him, "Look, why are they doing what is not lawful on the Sabbath?" And he said to them, "Have you never read what David did? When he was in need and was hungry, he and those who were with him, how he entered the house of God in the time of Abiathar the high priest, and ate the bread of the presence, which it is not lawful for any but the priests to eat, and also gave it to those who were with him? And he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath." One of the big themes in this chapter is that as Christians, a key question is, what is it time for? Is it time for a new patch or an old shrunken patch? Is it time for new wineskins or old wineskins? You're walking through a field, and is it time to pluck the heads of grain or not, being the Sabbath? And the answer is, whatever the Son of Man is doing, do that. The Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath. The answer is, follow Jesus. That's the thing he says, again in this chapter, that he said 2 times in the first chapter. Follow me. Follow me, Simon and Andrew. Follow me, James and John. Here, follow me, Levi. And this is not just a directive to read Jesus' teachings. This is a word from the Lord who is alive, who was raised and is here with us today. It's the call of discipleship that the whole Gospel of Mark gives us, this call to follow Jesus. We hear this summons, follow me. And that is a guiding call and good news for us in the midst of uncertain times, because there's a Lord who knows what today holds, who knows what this stay-at-home time will be like, who knows what will come in the next couple years. He already knows, and He is holding His hand out to us saying, follow me. He knows the way for each of us to walk through it, still honor God, still grow to be like Christ, still love our neighbors, still walk in His plans for us. Follow me, Jesus calls throughout the Gospel of Mark and to us today. Please continue to pray for one another, and please pray for our world, that God would look on us and have mercy.